So growing up, did you ever want to time travel? Well, not me, that's for sure. I mean, who knows what the future holds? Dinosaurs with laser guns? Anything seems possible these days. Or how about the past, where you might accidentally pop off your grandfather while also betting with your grandmother? Trust me, that sounds horrifying. So how about instead, video games about time travel? And what better one than the hit classic Titanic adventure out of time? Titanic is a worthy successor of Dust. Oh wait, don't give me that, Mac gamer. The only successor to Dust is a brush held by a maid.
Now we're talking!
Steins gained the hit visual novel on the Xbox before being ported to nearly everything out there, and rose to more prominence in the West with an anime, then a game of an anime, and an 8-bit demake, and a Hello Kitty collaboration, and a live-action movie. Seriously, how many Steins Gates are there? Alright, so it's something to do with this semicolon thing? Well, let's just stick to the basic Steins, okay, Einstein? I married my cousin. So today I wanted to take a look at the games in the series, because for some reason, money, they made so many spin-offs and other materials in the universe. And boy, some of it sure is something. Now, the original game that started this mega franchise off, helmed by the one and only Chiyomaru over at Majors, is one where you press a button to advance the text. Okay, they all are like that, but the original has a certain style and charm to it that you don't often find in games. All the lines are completely voiced in Japanese with amazing performances, and look at the mouth flaps, they move with every syllable. The art style is so distinctly unique, all drawn by the artist currently known as Huke. They all have this gritty aesthetic with textures on top of the sprites, and look! Yes, first he makes video game characters and now VTubers. This man is too powerful, I swear. But the game itself is pretty basic and easy to get into. I mean, it's just reading. With the game on so many different consoles, it's not that hard to find nowadays. I mean, also if you get it on PC, it's got a nice scroll wheel feature, which lets you see the previous text pretty conveniently. And if you're an avid reader like moi, then perhaps you might use this feature, known as skip every single text at light speed. This isn't your everyday reading, this is advanced reading. But then what exactly is Steins Gate? Well, it follows Okabe, a self-proclaimed mad scientist who speaks in grandiose terms, acting as an agent of chaos against the organization. So you mean Chunbyo? I'm sorry, what? Yeah, he's got that Chunbyo. Scuzzy? Yeah, you know, 8th grade syndrome, where he still believes in silly fantasies even though he's like 17 years old. You know, those kids who Naruto run in the hallways at school? Yeah, there he goes. Now as to why Okabe is a mad scientist, that will be explained in the story. Because he's actually kinda smart, like really smart, and is attending a guest lecture at this perfectly normal building. He brings along his childhood friend Mayuri, who is the purest thing. And with an outburst at the lecturer, he gets scolded by this redhead, or brunette. I don't know, it depends on the game, okay? Makise Kurisu, an even smarter girl who was like, dude, why are you even talking on your phone? And grabs it, realizing, oh wait, he's just an idiot. Okabe then Naruto runs out of there, fearing she's an agent of the secret organization. Or more accurately, he was scared she saw through his act, and runs back to Mayuri. Now you may be thinking, okay, this sounds like harmless fluff. How can this be a good game? And going upstairs, he slowly opens the door to find Kurisu tripped over a pile of jam she was using to make a raspberry Danish. No, wait, she's dead. Running away, he's like, bro, WTF, I gotta tell someone, and texts his friend Daru. And as soon as he hits send, his vision distorts and suddenly things don't seem the same. I mean, for one, there's some rubbish on the street, and also a giant satellite crashed into the building. What the bloody jam? So then Okabe talks to the player. I mean, TV Llama. Look, it'll make sense in a spin-off when we get to it, okay? This is the future laboratory, aka some random place they are renting for after-school activities. Except they're like uni-age kids. Are they doing drugs? It seems like they're doing drugs. You can tell me, I won't snitch. Oh no, it's the cops! So this is the Daru he texted, a self-proclaimed hacker who pretty much stares at his computer all day.
Okay.
Well then, Okabe and Daru go to another lecture, and also realizing that the text he sent to Daru somehow was received weeks ago on his phone, and they exit the elevator to find the jam girl alive, with not a smidgen of jam on her. And then she proceeds to drop the fattest diss track ever. So the game itself is a lot like this, with all these shocking twists and turns, because it turns out Okabe has discovered time travel, changing the past with his text. And the machine to do that is a time machine microwave the gang makes, which turns bananas into aeroplane jelly. Look, it makes sense when an anime girl explains the physics of a microwave time machine, okay? See, the joke is funnier because the original game isn't out on the Switch.
I love reading.
So the basic plot is that by changing the world line to this one, well, let's just say the price of that won't cover the cost of a pocket watch because a train ran over it. Now it isn't all text reading and admiring the damn nice sprites because you got a phone. Oh my god, do you remember flip phones? So at any time you can pull up the phone and not really do much except read text messages. However, at certain points, you'll use it for gameplay reasons or even to answer calls and texts from other characters. Yes, this phone is what you need to get all the different endings. And once you got them all, you can reach the true one. Yes, so in this game, the text messages could be the life-changing decision you were hoping for. Which leads me to the fact that, yeah, there's kind of some light romance in this game. Kinda? Okay, the overall thing is time travel, secret organizations, and world destruction. But depending on which world line your text messages leave Okabe in, it kind of implies that this is the character he sticks with. Now this might be all well and good for you, but as someone who literally has one ship ever in any medium, it's between these two dumbos, I swear they are so perfect, I can't handle it. And having to sit through Okabe going through the other character's romantic feelings is kind of for me personally. It's not super romantic or anything, and you definitely have not finished the game if you just end with one of the routes, and I can't imagine anyone actually doing that. It just shows you a world where Okabe feels more for that particular character, and it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be things like, this girl's dad is dead in the base timeline, but in the new one, he's alive. So Okabe has to decide if he wants to keep her happy or fix everything up back to normal. Now see, the game isn't perfect because like I said, it's a lot of reading, especially if you go through all the routes, and unless you can understand Japanese, watashi wa shimasen, it can be kinda a bit much if you aren't used to that sort of thing. You know, reading. But I'm okay with that because I read fast. But no, once you finish a route, you replay the game, but now you can skip fast to the important scenes like with the phone decisions, where the game will only slow down at those moments. So it can only skip messages you've read, which I really like. It makes getting the true end so much easier than other similar games. Anywho, the game then becomes sort of a mix of a conspiracy. Who is this organization? The nature of actually having a time travel machine, and its consequences. To oh hey, look, it's funny anime moments. Some would say this can be a bit too much, but then others might say, whoa, that's a lot of physics. Because yeah, it does feel like the writers really do care about all this theoretical stuff, as you do get real in-depth explanations from Okabe and Kurisu on things like the multiple world theory, because spoiler, it's important to this game. Which I guess is perfect that the lab has all these other characters to explain all these ideas too. Oh yeah, the lab! Because in it you got all these side characters Okabe managed to wrangle together for his club. Like you have Mayuri, Daru, then Kurisu, followed by Ferris, the maid cat girl appealing to way too many people. Luca, who looks after the shrine. I don't even know what a shrine is, but my shrine definitely needs some help. Suzuha, the part-timer downstairs, who works for Mr. Broad. He's very friendly. And then Moeka, the mysterious reporter who won't stop texting me, please. And they all have this badge that Okabe made to signify that they're part of his exclusive club. Look, I have the badge too. Am I part of the club? Please let me be part of the club.
Stop right there, criminal scum!
Now, a lot of the story can be considered anime banter fluff, but then, I don't know, the Shrine House contains an IBM 5100, so the game will throw all these tech sci-fi things to keep it thematically engaging, but I can still see why this might be a drag to some people, which I guess is why the anime did so well, trimming down the fat, so to say, but actually animated in such a masterful way that kind of makes me prefer it over the VN, but I can't say that here. I already did that on my other channel, which you can watch with a link in the card or description. Yes, thankfully I won't have to talk about anything anime related in this video about video games. Ah, crap.
I like money.
Because with the success of the anime in bringing people to the game, he kinda noticed something. I can just reuse the anime animation and sell everyone a game again. And so production began on Steins Gate Elite, a game based on an anime, which was based on the game. Can you see why this might be a problem? Okay, so Elite is pretty much the same as the OG game, but instead of the sprites, it uses the anime cutscenes to show what happens, often pausing it when the text stops, waiting for you to press next before continuing the animation. And since there are no sprites, the animation gets reused a lot to show off what happens in a scene, and I don't think it works too well. I mean, for one, the animation performance of the voice actor is different to the game performance, so pairing them up, it doesn't really match sometimes. But that's not the only downgrade. For all the advances in tech, you lose your phone. Yes, no more whipping it out in public. You can only use it when the story wants you to answer for the decision tree to the ending. And you can't do all the little other cool things. I mean, the game is still alright in its own way. It has a really cool UI, and Studio White Fox actually animated new scenes for all those extra endings because the anime never showed those other root endings. But I mean, yeah, they're still reusing the new animation. So I guess if you want to cut down the reading, but want to experience a more abridged version of the story, well, I mean, I guess you can. I mean, you might as well watch the anime, which would be shorter than playing this. However, the weirdest thing about all this is that when you buy it in the West, you can get it on the Switch or PS4/PC. And there's a big difference, because depending on which one you get, you receive a free extra game. Demake, or non-canon short stories written by different writers, including Uchikoshi of Zero Escape fame. Yep. Wait, what? So if you get Steins Gate Elite on the Switch, you know that addictive game console, you get Steins Gate 8-bit ADV, which is a demake, meaning it looks like this.
Oh my god, that's so adorable.
Yes, and what I was led to believe was an entire demake of the whole game in this adorable art style, it's not. No. It's like a 1 or 2 hour thing where you walk around fetching things for people and then die, because there's bad endings, and because they wanted to emulate that old console style. Like, ooh, you can see the CRT static lines, and they even retroed the music with remixes, but there's no saving. Yeah. Look, I actually was enjoying this, but when Kurisu was like, bro, are you sure you want to proceed? I don't think you have the right item to proceed. I'm like, huh, that's weird. And then I proceed. And then I died. I really didn't think that would mean I'd have to start it all over again because I couldn't save. And there's no button to speed up the whole thing. But I mean, it's a game where you have a literal mad scientist laugh button. However, remember, this is a bonus for Elite, as opposed to that other thing. And unless you really like things portable, and I mean, who doesn't, I really don't recommend this because the other thing is actually kind of cool. Oh no, crocodiles! So Linear Bounded Phenogram is a collection of short stories all written by different people at the company and Uchikoshi, who probably was just walking by the office and they grabbed him going, hey, come on buddy, why don't you whip out one of your stories for this game? But we'll get to that. So it takes place just after the opening story beats I detailed earlier, and it's considered by fans to be non-canon. I mean, do you really want to consider this canon? Because I sure don't. But then again, non-canon could just be different world lines in this franchise. And here, every story focuses on one of the non-Okabe characters from their point of view. Like, you can legit pull up their phone and see what kind they use. And you also know how Moeka kept texting me in the original? Well, since Okabe is now over there in sprite form, he still gets her text, but you don't get to read them because, well, you don't play as him, which I thought was a really cool touch. And the tone of the stories? Well, 1 minute you can be stuck with 2 clones of yourself, the next to a story from the main game but from Kurisu's point of view, to then Okabe cosplaying as a llama man. And this one was probably the most saddest one of them all. I'm not joking, I nearly teared up at this. And well, to the 9 Zero Escape fans out there, yes, Uchikoshi, the creator of those games, did write one of these stories, and it plays out like a murder mystery plot, our original. But personally, I don't think it's my favorite of the bunch, and I didn't look it up before playing which one he wrote, which led me to be kinda shocked that this was the one he penned. I don't know, Llama Man seems more up his alley. But yeah, it's kinda mixed about the writing style, because I found that most of them were pretty similar to each other, which was good for consistency, but I saw many reviews saying that some were just horrible to read through, and I can sort of agree because some of them were just put fast reading mode brain on. However, I just think if you had to pick between these 2 versions, with this one being about 20 hours or so, and some of the stories actually being cool, especially the Kurisu one, I swear should be canon, it makes the shipper and me squeeze so much. So yeah, unless you really like portability, I would definitely say get Elite on PC or PS4 because Linear is worth it. But then again, I'm not even sure you should be buying Elite over the original. Actually, you know what? Treat it like you're buying Linear with Elite as a bonus, okay? Yeah, that makes way more sense. But what doesn't make sense is this one. Steins Gate. Because it's, a dating simulator game?
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about.
So Steins Gate Romance Simulator, unlike the main game which also has romance, takes place a little while into the story like Linear, in another timeline non-canon, although it may be, I don't know, another world line, where it starts off with Okabe and Kurisu accidentally turning on a switch where they both were trying out a new invention. Switch. wearing unremovable bracelets that forces them to hold hands, because if they don't, it shocks them when they yell at each other. And oh no, who would like this story? Surely not me, I don't ship them at all.
Game of the year.
So now don't you fret, fans of the other characters, because the two want to use the time machine to undo this, and depending on when you send the message, leads into another timeline where Okabe gets really romantic with the other side characters. And it's just fun fluff. Look, okay. In a game which has the main girl literally turning into jam spread, you kinda need a spin-off like this, where the characters are just goofing off, where nothing world-threatening is really happening, but this is Steins Gate, so good luck with that. It's also cool how, because Kurisu has to stay close to Okabe holding hands, they actually make her sprite bigger, adding to this depth of field effect. And that's one thing I want to mention. I really like how this series shows a lot of sprites at once. So many times, similar games usually max out with 2 characters on screen. This game's engine just seems so smooth with that, and like, you know, the engine can handle super fast reading. Now this game is also really long with very detailed routes, but no actual real villain, so at times it can be a slog to go through, especially if you don't care about the other romantic pairings, which was me, but then I don't know why I decided to 100% complete the game on the Switch when there's no achievements. Seriously, what the heck is wrong with me? Wait, no, this is actually a good time to mention about the completion of these games, because say if you want to 100% complete one, a thing you have to do is view every text message. Now the way the game works that you get sent one, and if you respond to it, you get locked into a chain of messages, meaning the person will text you with more replies. This, however, makes the game ignore other people who would have texted you in that time, but you want all the text right. So this means making about 24 saves to replay each time to read them all. It took me like 2 hours straight. I mean, I don't know why I did this, but hey, the bonus side is pretty cool. So yeah, romance game. Fun. But only if you played the original. Yes, all these spin-off kind of assume that you played the base game, kind of spoiling things that happen in it. So if you like what the main game has to offer and want some different twists, I guess you can buy them each. Or just buy Steins Gate, Divergence, or Sword, the Japanese exclusive which has all the games in one package. Why does Japan always get the best things? Anyway, these are all set in different world lines and are mostly non-canon. But then how about one more, which is really canon and depressing? Yeah, it's that time for Steins Gate 0. Okay, so this was really crazy to me, who played the original when it came out on the Vita, and this was technically not a spin-off, meaning it's like a mainline game I could build into the hype, and it was such a unique concept. Now to understand it, it does spoil the ending of the original, but I won't for you. I mean, let's just say, it takes place in a what-if world line, where Okabe doesn't do a thing he's meant to do in the original ending, and literally the first screen you see in the game, gee, I sure do love Jam. So yeah, this is depressed Okabe, like legit taking pills, going to a doctor for help in his nightmares Okabe, thing he wasn't able to do, weighing heavily on him. All that time traveling breaking him down. However, he's not completely defeated. He ends up wanting to go to uni, legit saying no more of that 8th grade mad scientist made up stuff. He's changed because that life only caused him pain. And well, 0 is such a crazy emotional hit, even from the depressing touches to the UI, and the actually amazing voice acting on Okabe, and how the other characters have to deal with them, and the new ones. Shorty here, who is hilarious at times, and her American teacher.
Rintaro!
Yeah, the fandom really had fun with him. So he meets these two at a conference.
You got it!
Settle down there, buddy. Where they detail how they made a way for an AI program to be made from a person's memories. So say you upload your personality on this date, then you can make an AI program of that, and they will be you, but you know, an AI version of you. Wait, is this like a VTuber? And Hugh is still the artist? It was foretold! And I guess if you include the Jam picture, and the fact that Kurisu works with these two back in America, well... fun for Okabe. Now in a time travel series, of course there will be that, but instead of a linear story thing, it's more like a circle? What the? It's the best I can explain without too many spoilers, and man, this game holds so much emotion for me. Mostly because it was the first game I ever streamed, but I was using the PS4 console in-house streaming thing, and the game blocked streaming after the chapter 1, which means my stream died, and I still think back to this day, what happened to my 5 viewers? Did they ever get closure on what happened to the game? And now I freak out every time I see this thing. In fact, I'm so affected by it, I bought this game again on PC. Totally not because I forgot I bought it on the PS4. Wait, this is so expensive, I can't afford this. Hey, by the way, this video is sponsored by Honey. I'm so bad at this. So yeah, Zero also does have an ending. And if you played it at launch, it was untranslated. Pre-patch Steins Gate 0 days. Fun times. However, people say that watching the anime actually fixes it in places because you know there's an anime of it. So I don't know, it's up to you which one you want to experience. I feel personally the anime ended it better, but the mood of the game was just so much more enjoyable in a depressing kind of way. And it's nowhere near the same level as the original, but I still love it for so many reasons. I even liked how they updated the phone to a modern one, but I don't know why all the chat messages grouped together. And yes, you have to play the original before this one. Boy, I really would like to know if someone thought they could just jump straight into this without any context. The character writing was also amazing at detailing Okabe's anguish, and the new characters were a delight. But I just feel it failed the landing of the ending. When the game is mostly about story, it can kind of leave you with a sour taste in your mouth. Like a live-action Steins Gate, which is coming! Save me, crocodiles, from this world life! So yeah, Hollywood is once again churning the anime machine movie making, and I'm super excited to see what happens with this, and when it comes out I'll definitely review it on the other channel. I feel like this kind of story can work, but you know, like a single story, no multiple endings, and I guess even more westernized than the dub of the anime. I swear, Kurisu's official name will be Christina, which is kind of amusing in itself. And this was announced as part of the Steins Gate 10-year anniversary, but still a year later has unannounced things. But hey, at least the Hello Kitty is officially canon to the universe! Oh good god, what is that? So yeah, this is on the original Steins Gate release. There was a cosplay patch that changes up the character sprites, meaning this god artist drew this. And I love it. It's a shame though because it doesn't really seem like it works with the new versions of the game they re-released, so there's no official way to play this, which is sad. Because I want to play as Code Geass Kurisu, Ghost in the Shell Suzuha, and I guess it had to be the Aura Aura, huh? Anyway, here's another cool thing in the many worlds of Steins Gate. Don't confuse this with the 8-bit ADV, because this one isn't officially localized. It's a spin-off called Variant Space Octet that plays into those old PC games, even changing up the visuals depending on which setting you pick, and man, it just looks so cool. But the only way to get it was some sketchy download, and I don't really want to risk that. Unless... Your time is up! Then there's things like an IBM commercial series, which I guess is a commercial. But I don't care. It shows Kurisu getting horny for Okabe. So yeah, there's a lot of worlds, and oh boy, there's a lot of worlds. And I guess it's because Steins Gate as a brand, because yes, half the time it feels like a brand, does so much with its universe, with all these merch and crossovers and spin-offs, and that's not even to mention the cancelled ones. Did you know? There was meant to be a light novel taking place after the original game's ending, with these character designs. We live in a world line where we'll never see this happen. Come on, work, damn you. And then you have the other semicolon games, and I know fans of them will hate me calling them semicolons, so I won't. So with these semicolon games, you have Chaos Head and Robotics Notes, which takes place in a shared universe with Steins Gate, kinda. I won't really go into them here, but I don't know, this video gets like 1 billion views and I'll look into these games. They feature similar sort of themes to Steins Gate, but then you also have Occultic 9, which I don't know, you judge what you're seeing here, and Anonymous Code, which looks really cool from the promotion, but it's still not out yet. So where does that all leave us? Well, Steins Gate is just so fascinating because to me, as a game, I kind of prefer the anime despite loving the game a whole bunch, but the real reason I care so much for this franchise is because of how they're able to take all these weird and strange risks with the IP. Sure, you do have the usual stage play pachinko machines that plague every other Japanese property, but what game series would do a demake, a romance spin-off, let other writers write for the game in short stories, or even reuse the anime footage because your president wanted to save money and it somehow sold really well? The whole thing is just so fascinating to me. The world of Steins Gate is just so varied. I love it so much. And it's not the first time I've mentioned this thing on the channel. I mean, there is a super old video of me raving about the first episode of the anime, but please don't watch it. To mix excellent writing. Oh no, it's so old. Why did I purposely talk like that? Look, getting into this series through the anime was the best thing I did. So if that's the way you want to go, be sure to enjoy the chicken tendies. But I also highly recommend the games afterwards, especially if you want more of the characters in different scenarios. The gameplay is super simple, and a lot of them are easily available. And I mean, for one, if you do decide to read the visual novel, you can actually get an insight into Okabe's thoughts that aren't shown in the anime, which kind of adds to his personality. And as to its future, well, like I said, they had so many plans for things, and I think a ton more milking of the flagship. But now, I don't know. I really don't. And that's why I love Steins Gate. You'll never know what you'll get with this franchise. You really don't.
Trojan, RamZaes, Magnum, Sheik.